Guys. Hey guys, it is
Hey.
With the Supportive Society. This is our episode 2, and we've got my notice that we started. So we have on today Ashley Monique Menard. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said your name properly. So if I didn't, let me know. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep. I can hear you fantastic.
Is it delayed? You guys can hear me? Okay, because it seems like there's a delay. I don't know why on my side for some reason. So obviously everybody knows what we're going to be getting into after the tragic passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which completely sucks. But we're also going to be talking about body positivity and equality and all that. So, well, first let's get Ashley. You want to introduce yourself first? Before you get into all that.
Hi, my name's Ashley. It's nice to be here. I know of Aaron through Josh, who I've collaborated a lot with through his production company, Sidekick Productions. So I've been a part of Skeleton Crew, Demon Doctor, and The Art of Blowing It with Josh up there. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you. Hello. Hi, Tarik.
Thanks so much. I'm going to show a few things that Ashley works on. So one thing, she has a podcast, which is amazing, called the F Your Fears podcast, which kind of falls into like what we talk about. Sorry, the sides are like. So what is that podcast about for people that wouldn't know?
So it's an inspirational industry podcast where I chat with most of the people that I've worked with, and we kind of go through their career. I was very inspired because I love Mark Maron's podcast so much, and I love the aspect of how people get to where they get to, and like listening to their journey. I'm super fascinated by that. So that's what the podcast is. And I just chat with people. And like, even this morning, I was chatting with someone who's an actor. She's been a model, and like, she's in her 50s, and just the life that she's lived, so different than my life. And it's just so cool to hear those stories. So yeah, F your fears, about effing your fears so you can give birth to your dreams. So yeah.
That's awesome. We've done a lot of different things. So I mentioned it in the description about all the stuff you've done, but you also have a show that's coming out soon called The Art of Blowing It. So
yes, I do.
This is a clip, not a clip, this is an image from it. See if it's open for me. Sorry guys, I know my internet is being so blah. I don't know if I'm showing it, but I can't see it.
Well, you look fantastic, Ashley.
Oh, well, thank you. There's my unicorn vibrator ready to get to work.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, where's the link to the show?
I don't know why it's delayed.
I'm trying to share. Okay, never mind, I see it. I'm sharing the link to the podcast on my page right now.
Oh, the link. Oh, let's see.
So and Ashley, if you want to share the YouTube link, I don't know if Emily, if you did it as a Facebook post or not, because it's not popular.
Yeah, it should be on my page too. Yes.
I shall look for it.
It's also on my page, the YouTube one and the Facebook. Sorry, for some reason everybody is delayed on my end. I don't want to sign off because it'll kick everybody off. I don't know what's happening. Is it there?
No, I don't see it.
It should be there, yeah. Sorry, my
cat.
Oh, crap.
Here we go. I'll just grab Josh's.
Oh, my internet is being so... Yeah, I don't know why the internet's being so... Is it okay on your guys' end? Because on mine, it's like everybody sounds like a robot. I'm like, it'll kick everybody off. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what is happening. Can you guys hear everything? I'm like,
yeah.
It should be there, yeah. Oh, crap.
Here we go. I'll just grab Josh's.
I mean, everybody sounds okay to me.
Everything is on my end. I'm gonna have everything on my computer. I don't know. I'm so sorry, but I'm closing everything on my computer.
Sounds like a robot.
Oh my gosh. This is so crazy. I can't hear anything. Like everything is like frozen. So I'm closing everything. I'm so sorry if everybody's like, what the F? Okay, let's try that. Okay, is that better? I think that's better. Okay. I don't know what the frig happened, but okay. Anyways, let's get back to this. So I know everybody's met Tarik and Josh. I'm sorry if I'm cutting on to people talking, but my computer is being super delayed. I guess Tarik, did you want to introduce yourself again? I know everybody knows you, but you can do a brief intro.
I mean,
Is it working?
oh, yeah. Okay, there he goes. Oh, okay, there we go. Hi. For those that don't know me, I'm Tarik Rever. Basically an activist, model, disabled model, vegan, and spokesperson for Social Blue, which is an app for primarily disabled people, but also people trying to work through emotional struggles through social distancing right now. So I'm really I'm gonna everybody kind of talk a bit, but I took some notes about I have a theory in terms of body positivity and how its correlation with mental health and that's a little dogs over there. Mental health and social
That's okay.
and how society puts certain stigmas on the body. So when you put those together, like your support system, mental health, and overall stigma society, then it shows a certain dynamic of why public personas and how we see ourselves. Come on, Maisie. Sorry.
It's okay. It's a chill, casual discussion.
We'll invite Maisie on the show too.
Yeah, I will get the. Hey Rex. Maybe I'll get Rex.
Yeah. Over there. Rex.
I'm getting it's super delayed. What is happening? I'm gonna jump in and see what it looks like on this. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody, it's delayed a bit. I don't know what's happening. Shoot. I'm so sorry, guys. If it's still delaying, just write in the comments because I see it on the side pop up, but I don't know what's happening. Yeah, everything is delayed. It's driving me crazy. I don't know if I should leave the studio and come back. Oh gosh.
Maybe so. Maybe try doing that. Maybe we should do that.
A lot of stuff planned for us. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the studio and come back, and hopefully it doesn't end the broadcast. Let's hope not. All right.
It shouldn't. Because we're still here. Hello. In the meantime, hi everybody. So Tarik and I did a chat. Was it about a month ago now? 2 months?
For what? We've done a lot of things.
No. Tarik and I think with okay. Emily, we did. It was about a month and a half ago, and we talked about positive ways that artists can work towards a more positive society. And that sort of came up with the idea that I think it was Hasifa that came up with the idea of supportive society as the name in general. Yeah. But welcome back, Emily.
Hi. It's still delayed. I'm right, whatever. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. It's not delayed for you guys at all. It's fine.
Well, at least
you're delayed.
Good.
Your audio sounds
I'm
good.
Delayed?
You are delayed. Yes.
Damn it! I don't know what is happening here.
The audio is fine now.
Yeah.
The audio is fine. All right, the audio is fine. Whatever. I'll just look like a robot. That's fine. It's just when I try to hear you guys, I'm like, what did they say? And then there's a pause for me, but we'll live. Okay. So sorry. So you're, Josh, I'm assuming from when I jumped in, you're explaining about what we talked about last time and everything?
I was just filling Ashley in and our listeners of what we were doing last time. Yeah. I basically just talking about how one of the things that we really talked about is how it's really important to move towards a positive, a way for artists to use their skills and their talents to make society a little more positive, especially in 2020.
Yeah.
Where nothing has been positive.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, 2020 has been a beast, man.
Yeah, and the other thing too that's been really totally, it's been a monster. And so many people positive influence in passing away. Why? It's just it's sad. Both Ruth Bader Ginsburg and last episode of Talking to Tarik, we're talking about Chadwick Boseman. He passed away from my cat is coming into this. He passed away from colon cancer. Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't pass away from colon cancer, but she did have it. She had it for, she had 3 different types of cancer when I looked up, but then another one said 4 or 5, but she basically just kept going like throughout everything. And it's sad that, I think what upset me the most, and I forgot to put in a disclaimer, which I will in a second, this is my opinion, but it upset me that not even within 2 hours, the wonderful, being totally sarcastic here, Mitch McConnell decided to announce about that they're going to have somebody else, you know, come in, which is so classless. I mean, regardless of what you believe, that's just so classless. And the excuse of, well, we have to keep moving, it's like, sorry, I'm calling bullshit, total bullshit. But in general, but that's another thing with staying positive and stuff. Like, I feel like what Ruth Bader Ginsburg was so dope about her is she even got along with people that didn't have the same political, you know, views as her. I think one of her best friends was, what's his face? Oh, I just got Scalia. I can't remember his name now. Someone jump in. The other Supreme Court Justice
Scalia?
Guy.
Anthony Scalia, I think you mean.
Scalia.
Anthony Scalia, sorry. Scalia.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. And somebody made an awesome, like, cute. Yeah. So, but I mean, she's an example. Like the first episode that we did on the Supportive Society was about with John Lewis, with intertwining that because he just passed away. So it's like almost every episode of what I'm doing live, it's another positive influencer has passed away. And then I segued into an episode, which I'd rather not do that because I don't want people passing away, obviously, especially like amazing people. But like today, that's why I figured like let's jump into about body positivity, equality, and talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And here we are. So that was why I decided to jump into those topics, and just every episode just kind of went into that. Before we jump into our opinions on stuff, I just want to put the disclaimers for 2 seconds. I hope this doesn't cut out like delay stuff, but just quick disclaimers, like this is our opinions on stuff. Not anybody else, you know, we're not trying to tell you what to believe or anything, obviously.
Right.
And I don't know why these are going slow.
Just to give people time to read them.
Trying to get rid of them, and they're not good. Yeah. It's so much more positive about it. I'm like freaking out, and you're like, people can read it. It's okay. Oh goodness, it's not going away. Okay.
Another
awesome. Did it go to the next one? Like mine is not showing me anything. This is so frustrating, guys. I'm so sorry. Like I've never had this happen on an episode, ever. Never, ever, ever. Oh my gosh, I can't get rid of this now. Really? Really?
Maybe try to.
Guys, I'm so freaking sorry.
Sure, something else. I put a comment. A picture in the comments. Maybe you can share that. Sort of a little joke about 2020.
Oh. Okay. This wants to make my life hell today. Please. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're not putting anything else up for the rest of this. Never mind. Nothing coming up on the screen because it completely came off of the episode. I'm so sorry. It just, the second I put it up, it was like, you're off of this. Try again. My internet's great. I don't know why this is happening. I'm so sorry. All right, let's just keep going. Anyways.
Don't worry about it.
I should have done a pre-recorded, right?
Live. It's all good.
It's just about being positive right now.
Yeah.
And
True.
If nothing else, this is an example of what's happened throughout this year. Things get thrown at you that you don't expect, and you just have to deal with it.
Totally believed. Yeah. No, it's true.
Because I don't think any of us expected this year. So
I knew it was going to happen.
Well, that's because you were a psychic. So
very true, Joshua. Very true.
Wait, for real? What?
No. Ashley's many things, but she's not a psychic. So
yeah,
I'm gonna get Reverend Yolanda in here. That episode, that was hilarious.
God, Reverend Yolanda.
But I'm sorry. Let's keep going. So, segueing into why I have everybody that I have on today. You know, Tarik talked about that he's a model and activist. Obviously, he's done a ton of stuff, which is amazing, and also doing modeling and stuff, Tarik, I was reading the most recent article I put in the description about, and I'm not going to put up here in case it cuts it out, but you mentioned how you decided when you weren't dancing anymore professionally, you decided to go into modeling and stuff, and also showcasing that you have a wheelchair and stuff, which I think is amazing, because so many people associate those of us with disabilities that we can't do modeling, we can't do a lot of things. And I think that's so important. So like, how did you, one of the questions I'm going to ask everybody later on, but I'm going to kind of jump into it now. Like what made you decide to do that? Like that you were like, screw this, I'm going to just do modeling and showcase this wheelchair. You mentioned it once before in another episode, but because of the topic, I figured maybe mention it.
I appreciate asking that question. It's sort of like water. Water flows to whatever avenue is open, and so I have to go to a path of least resistance in myself, and it's no way at the moment, and in the past, and I can dance, like I used to, or even attempt to, So
yeah,
like what else do I do that I still love? And I used to paint a lot, and I can't paint because I make these little like compression sleeves, but the circulation in my wrist and the electrical impulses in my hands make my hands like real weak, and I have small hands on top of it, so it's hard to paint. So I was like, what else is left? And I was like, well, I guess modeling.
I'm sorry. What else is left? I guess I'll become a model. Like, God, dude, you're like, well, I am magical, so I may as well. That's amazing.
No, but I was already to some extent modeling already, but to take it more seriously, I realized I was underappreciated. It was underappreciated, so I was like, I'll invest more time into that. And so, because imagery and social media became very strong, this is before the whole pandemic set. It's been like 5 years, maybe more since I've been in a wheelchair or whatnot, and so it was hard at first because like I had moments of consciousness and lucidness, but it was at the very beginning I was like almost unconscious most of the time because my body was so depleted, So the little moments I had, I try to spend time with my family, and then like when they're trying to take care of things and they weren't around, I was like, well, let me try to get to social media and do some modeling here and there. So it would be like when normally it would take someone a typical model to do like like 100 frames or clips and angles and stuff, it will take me like so much energy to do like 1 or 2 pictures, because it was like I'll like slump over or something like that. So I really took that pain. To me, I'm a big deal about pain and and happiness. Like joy and pain, or joy and pain. That's my sunshine and rain. That's what I'm talking about. It's like they go together. So so I took that pain and
it does, yeah, totally.
Put it in something positive, because that's the only way to survive and to live, But I don't want to get a whole tangent on that, but that took the same philosophy, like take a weakness and make it a strength, or find opportunities, or if there's no opportunity, you make an opportunity. If there's no demographic, because I don't fit like really any demographic in my modeling, like because I'm too many at one time. I'm disabled, African American, androgynous. I have long locks. I'm in a sci-fi. I'm into horror. I'm into spirituality. Like I'm like a living contradiction of all these things.
Right. Yeah. Basically, which is cool.
How does they all coexist? But the whole thing is that but that became the thing I'm about, is coexisting. Like things that normally don't take place have a purpose. We all are different, and because we're different, that's why we're the same. Right. You know what I'm saying? So being an original, being an individual, that's what makes us unique. So that became my whole like platform. Okay.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, it's delayed for me. So if I'm like this, it's because I don't know it's done. I'm not zoning out. Oh my gosh, well, it's comical.
I think Ashley should tell more about what you're doing, because you're the newbie on the show, so you should talk more about what you're working on, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sure. Talk more about what I'm working on. Yeah, so I am doing a podcast, and it's really great. It's called the F Your Fears podcast. And yeah, I chat with actors, singers, musicians, filmmakers, mostly everyone that I've spoken to, with the exception of like 5 people or people that I've worked with. So
That's cool.
yeah, it's so cool. I love it so much. I love it so much. I even went back to school. I'm in business school, y'all, because I really want to take my podcast to the next level. So I figured I
That's
would like
awesome.
learn about marketing
Nice.
and social media. So I'm going to this cute little
Yeah.
community college in Ohio called the Eastern Gateway Community College. And if you're a member of Actors Equity, you can go there for free. All you have to do is go to unionplus.com and you can go there. So yeah, I do a podcast. I'm an actor. I've been auditioning a lot. This quarantine's been really good to me in terms of I've had a nice flow of messages asking me to audition, which I didn't book a lot of stuff, but I think that there's something so beautiful about getting positive energy, because I can't tell you how many times I thought, I want to give up. And I check my phone and it's like, you have a C-mail. Like, go do an audition now. And I was like, thank you, God. Like, thank you. Even if I don't book it, thank you for like a hug. It felt like a hug of like, go do your job. You may not get the job, but like, go do your job. So I don't know where I'm going with this, Emily. I just live my days fully, and I seize the moments. I'm very excited to work with Mr. Joshua on Skeleton Crew. We're working on the musical episode, and we'll be working on that this Saturday together. So I'm super stoked about that. And it's not like just a couple songs that are kind of like put together with a Casio, you know, like it's a full-on musical. Josh
That's so cool. Yeah.
Nice.
He's written some like Sondheim-esque songs. Like one of them, I'm like, okay, there's this one song called The ABCs of Kink.
Oh my God.
Wait. It's so good. And so
that's amazing.
So it's been really cool working with him. And like I said, I'm doing a web series. It's called The Art of Blowing It, and it's about a former child star who's got a career reboot, and she's a hot mess of a lady. Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good shit, y'all.
I'm so looking forward to that. Like the trailer, it cracks me up.
It's
a cute concept too.
And it's one of those things of like, my character is the former child star, and Josh's character is this like fish out of water that's super doe-eyed and is like, I'm going to make a documentary about you. And he pops into this world, and these two characters just like go through life together. And it's like a few days of just like some chaos that ensues, and just some fun and some slapstick and all over the place naughtiness, and it's great.
And drama.
And the drama.
Drama.
Just the clips from like the trailer, it's hysterical because there's so many different funny things. It's not just like one like, oh haha, that's kind of funny. Like, you know, some movies you see the trailer, it's like you saw the movie. It's like that's not what
look at
the trailer.
But like yours is like so much stuff. It's amazing. It's hysterical.
Well, thank you.
But that
means so much.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like so excited for it. And then you also do the other show, which I want to show the image. I'm afraid it's going to cut out. But Shaka, I always say it wrong. Shaka and the dog?
Yeah, Shaka and the dogs. So Jose and Ibai collaborated with Josh before. They've done a couple of short films together, and they approached Josh about doing a voice on Shaka and the dog. And that's how I got in the mix, because they were like, do you know anyone who can do a fun voice? And Josh knows that there's like 700 people inside me. So he knew that I'd be excited. And so I got to do Shaka and the dog again with Josh. So I just want to have like a clause in my contract that everything I do, Josh is involved with.
And I want to show the image.
I mean, I'm fine with that. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think that
hysterical.
What you're all doing.
We do a lot. How do you like?
Wait, what?
What? Sorry, I'm cutting out, guys. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I was saying I think what everybody's doing is cool, and then like comedy, I think comes from like it's so well received right now because you know how
Yeah.
people are looking for outlets, and
Mhm.
I think about a lot of times like multifaceted entertainers like Jamie Foxx, when he's like Jamie Foxx is this comedy, singing, dancing, acting stuff that like I think to me comedy is like sort of a nexus of so many different talents. Like you say, you're doing a musical, you know, like you could take comedy and you could like run with it and do some different things. So I think that's like a really cool like canvas to sort of work with. So it sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to have comedy and stuff now, especially because like so much stuff is so depressing, and it seems like you can't even get through like the news of something like I was just saying before, like with all of these amazing people passing away. It's like, it's like 1 second I'm like, oh man, like, and then like, it's like you don't even get over that, and then like something else happens, and you're like, oh my god, like I can't catch a break or catch my breath even, you know. And I think if anything, the positive of what this year is doing is kind of making us all like appreciate stuff a bit more. You know, I know for me it does. Like before this, I was already going through a lot of shit before that, but everybody's
able to see stuff, the
comment, but it's kind of.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Sorry. Are you able to see the comment?
No, it's okay. It's just delaying me. I can't hear what he said. Damn it. So I'm so sorry if I'm cutting people off. I'm so sorry. Shoot, I don't know what you said. It's like not. It's cutting me out.
I put a comment
anyway.
about 20 about what you're saying, and it sort of goes to what you're saying. I don't know. Oh,
I think it's a cancel culture. I'm so sorry. It's like now you're clear, and then it's not clear. Oh, it's me crazy.
Oh, pobrecita.
Yeah. Well, it's a challenge for me right now. Basically, what was I saying? Oh, so, but I feel like this year is kind of forcing me at least to do new things and challenge myself in other ways. Like, for example, I was a teacher. I don't know if everybody knew this, but I was a teacher like almost full time. And I kept hitting a wall of like, I was putting my art to the side and not doing things that I wanted to do. I mean, I like teaching stuff, but I felt like I was delaying the rest of my life too much. And then I was like, oh, I'll do a podcast. Oh, I don't know, I'll do this, whatever. And then I had reached out to Josh and to like some of my mentors and to Tarik. Everybody knows the story of me and Tarik was I just literally messaged him on Instagram and I was like, hey, I have this idea. I don't know if you want to do this. And then it went from doing a podcast episode, just one episode, to then pandemic happened. And then we're like, let's do a live stream so people can, you know, come together at a time we feel so distant and also relate to understand what people with disabilities and chronic illness go through, that they're isolated more than others. And now here we are. So those are the positives I've found from this whole thing, you know, that we have to keep going and be positive despite it. Also, in relation to like body positivity and all that, ever since like years ago, I've always been somebody that's like, didn't want to be in the spotlight really. And it wasn't really that I felt like I wasn't, you know, pretty enough or whatever and all that, which we all have our insecurities. And I did when I was really, really, really thin. I felt like I was just an ugly skeleton, to be honest. Like that's how I felt. But in general, like even now, like I just always feel like, oh, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I'll just do a podcast. I want people to see me. Like I have to look nice, blah, blah, blah. And it's forced me to be like, F it, like, you know, and in the words of, you know, Ashley's podcast, like F your fears, like whatever, just do it. So yeah. And that since like, you know, I just decided to do it. So that's kind of like how I, you know, was connecting to like the whole thing of body positivity and just basically not giving a shit. Like just do shit you want to do and kind of break the stigma, which I'm hoping that everybody can do over time, is break this entire wall of you have to look a certain way to be successful, because I think that's such bullshit. And I think somebody that also really was for that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was very, I mean, she didn't look amazing. You know, here's this little tiny petite woman that was like kind of hunched over and stuff. And she was a badass. Like she's honestly, I think, stronger than most men I know or even know from media and, you know, and in politics. Honestly, she's amazing. So there's another example of, you know, you don't base a book by its cover. And then with Chadwick, you know, with the whole thing with him, and nobody knew that he was struggling for at least 4 years before he passed away. Nobody had a clue. So
like right before that, it was like even a clue to it, you know.
I mean, and he made such ridiculously physically demanding films during massively difficult times for himself. I can't imagine going through what he was physically, and then still making those movies with as Black Panther and as the other films that he did that were also maybe not as physically demanding, but still demanding. I mean, it's incredible. And then, I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's dying of several forms of cancer, and she's still trying to work on the Supreme Court up until her death. Just to save democracy, basically, in the United States. And it's been very it's very hard to do that. But often the people that are some of the strongest are the ones who don't look at. And I think that's really that's where people surprise you.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's also with a lot of like, at least like what I struggle with chronic invisible illness, they call it, is like people don't realize that, you know, I get sick and I get a lot of, oh, you're fine, you look fine. Oh, what are you talking about? You know, and it's like, that doesn't mean anything, you know, but I think a lot of people, unless you say like a title, you know, unless you say you have something that people are like commercially aware of, like, and not that this isn't a bad, you know, this isn't a thing people struggle with and it's hell. You know, cancer, diabetes, and all the things that people know, like, oh, I had a heart attack like this. People are like, oh my God. But if you say something people don't know of, their first response isn't like, oh, I'm sorry, or it's sorry, but you look fine, or but something else, not realizing that that can be really insulting, at least to me. You know, sometimes it is. It's like, oh, but this, like, and it's like, well, so are you saying that like I'm not really sick, or like that this isn't happening to me, or I don't deserve a day off? Like, I've had bosses say that to me all the time, like, oh, well, you don't look sick. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll come in looking like disheveled for you. Like, I think a lot of people work really, really hard too to keep, you know, up their appearance and stuff as well. Tarik, I don't know if you notice this too, but like I notice that a lot. Like I have to sometimes really put a lot more energy into just looking put together on days, because there's some days I can't.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Like people don't realize that. I think that's like a big thing, which I'll get into another episode, but more about that. But it would also do with body positivity and stuff like that. Josh was going to ask you, like, when you started Sidekick Productions, this is probably like a deep question. You don't have to answer it, but I was going to ask each of you, like, what was something like in life where you realized the importance of like, I don't want to sound like all cheesy, but like loving yourself and realizing like who you are. Like for me, for example, was when I got sick and I had lost a lot of weight because I couldn't eat and stuff. I was very, very like self-conscious and worried about like how clothes fit me and stuff, because nothing fit. I could barely wear leggings. And it was embarrassing, and I never really went out. Granted, I was sick a lot, I couldn't go out anyways, but the times I did, I would get such anxiety. And at one point, I just realized, like, by watching other influencers and stuff and artists like Freddie Mercury, and it made me realize, like, fuck it, like, I need to do this anyways. Like, I need to just not give a shit and still do what I want to do. And it just stopped it for me. Like, I just stopped giving a shit about it. So I don't know, like, when you started Sidekick, was that kind of like your epiphany, I guess, kind of thing of like, I want to do this? Or would you for a while thinking about it? Like, that makes sense. Like, when did you decide I'm gonna do this?
With Sidekick, I started Sidekick partially just on, not on a whim, but I started Sidekick because I had a play that got into a festival, and I knew I wanted to have it's always better to have a company producing your play than to have Joshua Pangborn producing the play. I'm not Cameron McIntosh. I'm not Aaron Spelling. I'm not somebody whose name actually says it. Not yet, though. But we're on our way to Aaron Spelling status, actually. But it's always better to have a company that's producing it, because when you put a casting call out there, it's always better that it looks a little more professional. It looks a little bit more like, oh, okay, this is legit. So a company's doing this, not Joshua Pangborn. So I knew I wanted to do another. And I had a theater company way back when I was younger, all those years ago when I was 21. It was the Living Room Theater Company, and that went away. That went the way of the dodo about 3 years after we started it, for a number of reasons that aren't necessary to get into right now. But so I in 2010 I got my play all folked up into the Midtown International Theater Festival, and I said, let's maybe it's time to start another company. So I knew that I wanted to do something that that reflected my love of comic books and my love of that genre. and because I was also working on my dissertation at the time, which was focusing on mythology and comic books and dramatic literature and Shakespeare. But
Sounds cool.
from there, I just sort of I thought about when I did the living room theater company, I didn't have a purpose for it necessarily. I didn't have a mission for it. So I said, if I'm going to do another theater company, I should probably try to have it focused on producing something that means something, that or at least that has a mission of some kind, and not just to produce Josh's plays. Which, yes, that's always a good mission because Josh's plays are amazing. But there should be something a little bit more to it, I think. And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, it is really important to me that we promote positive opportunities for actors of all sizes. So I thought about size blind casting and how a lot of people were working on colorblind casting or gender swapping casting. And I thought, well, one of the things that people aren't doing is really looking at actors who are talented, but maybe don't have the right body weight for what they consider Romeo should be or what they consider Juliet should be. And so I thought, well, with Sidekick Productions, I think what we can do is have size blind casting, which means I'll cast the best person for the role, regardless of their body size, and therefore that gives me opportunity to bring other people in. I didn't really think of it in connection with me yet because I wasn't acting at the time. I hadn't decided to get back into acting until 4 years later. For me, it was just I was like I loved acting in high school. I loved acting in middle school, but in college it was they put you in boxes a little bit in college, and it's like, well, you are clearly the person who writes the plays and does the dramaturgy, so therefore you are behind the scenes, and so you start to believe that about yourself a little bit because you don't get this. You just sort of believe, okay, I can't do that because they said I can't do that, so I'll just focus on what they say I can do. That's good, and so I didn't do any acting or anything for a very long time under my company, and then that's when I came up with the idea to do Skeleton Crew. And Skeleton Crew, I was like, you know what? I want to act, and let's see what it's like. So Skeleton Crew is really where it was that I really doubled down on the idea of working towards body positivity and fat acceptance and things along that nature. Because with Skeleton Crew, that's where I started to change. Because even though I was all about size blind casting with the company, I don't necessarily think I still felt comfortable with myself. And it was more about doing something for the outside world, but not for myself. And then when I started doing Skeleton Crew and I put myself in positions that widespread Hollywood media says I shouldn't be doing, it made me start to feel more comfortable with who I am and how I look physically, and much more comfortable in that sense. So I would say that's a very long journey to answer your question, Emily. But it wasn't something that just happened overnight. It wasn't something that just sort of like, I'm going to do a production company and embrace fat acceptance. It was much more of a gradual process for me that took steps.
Thank you for doing that. Seriously, I mean, creating an area for body positivity to sort of like flourish like that. I wanted to talk a bit more about that in terms of like some of the reasons there's a lack of reinforcement of body positivity is my theory. I would take a quick thing on it. But okay, so basically, like the social construct that the world is built on in different cultures, there's a certain sort of baseline division. And like there are male and female and people that are transgender and don't identify any gender, but on the genetic level, males have 36% of males have the MAOA gene, which basically regulates or deregulates serotonin, and a ton of other different genes are associated with with happiness and anger. So a good percentage of men have a problem with anger and are more prone to be violent unfortunately. Anxiety, depression, all these different things like that. And women have sort of the equivalent, but it's better. Like they have like a secondary. It's like the 2C receptor. They actually have two 2C receptors, and that tries to regulate the same hormones of serotonin, epinephrine, stuff like that.
I think I may have 3.
3.
I think I'm right. No, baby. I'm just saying. I think I have a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you guys.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm also listening like through my phone, so it's not delayed. So if I'm delayed, I'm trying to be able to understand what you're saying.
With women, it's like even though some things are similar, there are major differences. Like depression. Male and females can be unfortunately suicidal when you get a certain level of depression, and both are susceptible to that. With if you're around an environment that's not supportive, and like under a lot of stress, of course. But what's different is that what is kind of freaky, to be honest. Like males sexually maintain the same level of drive, or it goes up higher with the MAOA, and then females may have like a waning period where it decreases, and that sounds more realistic. Sexuality would decrease if you're depressed and having anxiety, but guys will like stay the same or go up, and then also for for males to be potentially violent, and also to be really attracted to positions of government.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really scary. So you have like all these guys in the government with this gene, this eager to pounce on a problem, supposedly just to, instead of like working with others, they just like fight each other. And so that's what you see in politics, and you see predominantly males in politics. So I don't think
predominantly male. Yeah, exactly. Like
male,
Supreme Court right now. Like what? Like one of the things Ruth, had said, Ruth Ginsburg had said was, when will you be satisfied with how the world is? And she's like, I'm not quoting that correctly, but she says when there are 9 women in, the Supreme Court justice is 9 women. And what do we have? 1? Like now they're trying to put in 1. Like it's so like for a country that's supposedly so, moving forward and so much stuff. It's to me in a lot of ways, we progressed a lot, but I also feel like it's a lot of bullshit also. Like Black Lives Matter. It's like, we progressed so much, but look at all this stuff that's just ingrained in our minds for how many years? Like women's rights. We've, as women, got the right to vote, 100 years now? That's a blip. That's nothing. That's like, and the time that we've been in the universe in general has been literally a blink, like barely, like maybe a millisecond, like a half a second of a blink.
That's true.
That's the whole time. And the amount of time that we progressed in society has just been so minimal. And there's an interesting article I was reading about the power of technology and social media, and how it's kind of pushed us into this kind of as a distraction in a way. Like there's so much we could do with technology, yet there's so much bullshit wasted on technology, like with Facebook and Instagram and the whole TikTok situation, all that. And it's like we're wasting so much time on stuff that's like not necessary. But then you have people that are using the social media stuff for good, like what we're doing, like with Sidekick production stuff, with Ashley doing, Tarik doing, and I'm doing. I think that's what's important is we keep doing that. But about the thing about women versus men and stuff, with the being more, how did you say it? Like Tarik, that it was they're just more.
Oh, generally speaking,
not like they're more like angry or whatever, but not angry. That's the wrong word. How did you say it?
36% of men have that gene, and those particular ones are more prone to violence or aggression.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you don't have. There's ways to counteract that. If they're more aware of their emotional, basis, they can like take medication. They can like do some regiment. Be more involved in a group activity. Some people, are attracted to the military because it's like you have to work at a certain time, wake up, you have to train at a certain time. You have like a certain schedule, and that kind of helps people. Some type of regimental thing, something. Like it could be anything. For me, is hopefully I don't have the gene. I don't know, but that's another thing we don't know. Like I think that's like an understatement. How do you know that's 36% when hardly most guys aren't tested for that gene. So I think it's much.
Oh, I can spot you 36%. I think you do know. Come on. Come on, think about it. Think about the people that you know. I start making a list, putting some people on that list, and I think we all could, right? Think about the people you know. Like some people are just a lot more chill, and some people are amped up all the time.
Yeah, some people are just revved up
quick. So that makes sense. There being a gene in them, giving them not a reason, but making it makes more sense that there would be some sort of a not chemical imbalance, but just the gene that's there that their brain is going to function differently and process things differently.
It's more is that, and it's also like basically there's like a delay whenever someone's in a stressful situation and you have part of your chemicals are reacting and saying, okay, slow down, relax. And those that have like that gene that's like not working 100%, they have that delay and they just stay angry, you know, and it take a while to like kind of calm that down from that, you know. But there also are that like Henry Rollins. I'm a huge fan of Henry Rollins and his music and his spoken word, his poetry. And he thought he had the gene. He got tested and he didn't have the gene, but he was just traumatized from like from being abused so much that he's just like angry from that, you know. Yeah. But he found like 3 monks. He actually tested 3 monks, and all 3 monks had the gene. But the monks weren't surprised because they felt that their salvation was the regimen of being a monk, you know. And these are like Shaolin monks, you know, and so like for them, martial arts and meditation was like helping them like maintain themselves, and they had to do it for themselves, you know. That makes sense. Like I think someone's like honest with themselves, you know, no genetics can define you. It's just that if people are in an environment where they're not nurtured, or they don't realize what they're going through, and they just kind of go through the motions, and then the situation hits, and then it takes over them. And like overall, I think men are told that crying is a sign of weakness, that emotions are as a whole, except for anger, is a sign of weakness, you know. And that's what we were taught. Even if you're not taught directly, we're taught to like we were talking, Josh, we were talking about that last time, taught to cinema movies. You know, I think what you're doing is beautiful because you're showing a full gamut of emotions, you know. But a lot of mainstream movies, the leading male is just like is just angry, you know, and he settles his conversations with his fists, you know. And like, and so like I still like action movies, still like Bruce Willis and The Rock and all that kind of stuff, and
I love The Rock. Kind of stuff.
I mean, it's just fun. Yeah, but I'm also into like Ryan Reynolds, you know, of Deadpool. It's like, and he speaks more to me because he's like, he doesn't focus so much on being angry or divine. He focuses on like pain and comedy, and he's very whimsical. You know, it's like it's more balanced. You know, I think so. I'm hoping there's more
that's
roles
true.
for people to show people that, you know, you don't have to be like this stereotype, and the stereotype becomes like this archetype for a lot of guys, and it leads over to people that aren't like aren't guys or don't identify as guys, you know, because that since unfortunately for the time being, and like everyone's working, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a pioneer, but there should be way more women in politics, considering how guys can be, to be honest. You know, there needs to be a balance, you know, and that's what something that can really, you know, people also people that have are non-binary, don't identify any gender, to be more or have more representation, you know, and more people that are, you know, or whether gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual. And that's not that you don't hear a lot. There's a lot of pansexuals you don't hear in politics, probably because probably afraid to say that they are pansexual, you know. But
well, I don't think that's a term that a lot of people knew about, really. It's still, I think that's still a new term for a lot of people. But I think that I mean, Schitt's Creek has been very helpful with making pansexual a word that people are familiar with. Anybody who watches that show knows that the main character is a pansexual, and it's that's the first time I remember seeing a pansexual. Well, no, maybe the second time. The first time I would say is probably Jack Harkness on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
John Barrowman's character, Jack. Jack Harkness.
I guess he
he is happy to have sex with anyone. And that's not that's not what pansexuality is. But I mean, I think that's an easy way to. I don't think they ever use the term for him, but that's kind of what he is. Also, Chris Pratt's character in Guardians of the Galaxy would probably be. Maybe not maybe pansexual.
You're gonna say Jurassic Park. I was like, how'd you tell?
Yeah, Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic Park. I mean, he was super. He loved the dinosaurs. He loved the dinosaurs.
That's a different term, Josh. That's a different term. It's not pansexual.
That's bestiality. I'm sorry, you're right.
But I was saying about Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool is pansexual.
Oh boy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Deadpool is. Constantine is John Constantine.
Oh yeah, he really is.
He very much is. I mean, in the most recent animated film that that they did with him, his ex-boyfriend is King Shark, which is a human male / shark hybrid. So he's very pansexual.
Oh, that's right.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, it's like the audio or something went off or something.
Oh no, we're all. So I think that's right though. I mean, I think we're going to see more of that.
Sorry, my cat.
Oh,
I think we're going to see more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 2018 was a huge wave of LGBT politics. Politicians getting elected to positions. A lot of it's at the local level, so you're not going to see that at the higher levels yet. But the local levels where things start, and I think that's really important. To have local politics that are moving in a way that's more progressive and more beneficial, because that's where you sow the seeds of positive change. Is at the base, not at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it'll
true.
be a long time before we have a.
Okay. I think Emily's frozen.
Yeah, I said it's gonna be a long time before we have.
I think it'll be a long time before we have an LGBT president. Even though Pete Buttigieg did a great job in his primary, I don't think that he. I can see that being a very difficult hurdle to overcome in the actual race, which it shouldn't be, but I could see enough people being nervous about it. But
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like to have true life reflect back into politics is a rarity, but yet you're right. In terms of grand scheme of things, the past 5 years have been instrumental for better change to happen. So it's I guess we're just all frustrated because you want it changed now. You want it now, you know. But it's what's gonna happen 10 years from now? So it's looking good. Like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And then the next generations, it should theoretically keep progressing. I think the main thing I was on another podcast at the time, and I was just mentioning to them that the main thing is the human lifespan, because it's all about perception in terms of time span. Because if you look like Emily was saying, you look at for women's rights past 100 years, it's just now that it's been past 20 years has been the biggest impact, and we think about within this 5 years that there's been a rapid growth, and I think it stems to the positive side of social media. I think it all really comes down to communication, and technology. And there's a bad side, of course, to everything, but the good side of technology is that it's cheaper and faster for them to make these smartphones, and the smartphones are getting smarter. These apps are getting cheaper, and so people were able to connect with each other in small countries, and even some earlier types of phones, maybe not the same quality, but even a flip phone, or getting to third world countries, to where they're starting to communicate and stuff like that. There have been certain talks about having economical, I don't know how to, it's lightweight space age satellites that can orbit over countries that are more underdeveloped, and to give like, I don't know if the UN will essentially work together in this, but if it happens, basically smaller countries that are like, don't have the same funding can get like basically Wi-Fi, or something like that. So when that happens, that would be like a huge boost for the
Absolutely.
world.
Ooh. Especially since nothing is for free. So even if they get the Wi-Fi, they will be paying with their data. And they will be paying with who they are, because nothing is free. Anyone seen that documentary on Netflix called
Oh, I did. I
Yes.
saw that. Yeah.
Dilemma? Ooh, it's a goodie. I don't have notifications up on my phone because I want it all to stay in there. I don't want it to come at me. When I'm ready to deal with it, I'll come to it.
They could be paying with the metadata, the metadata, right?
But I do think there's been a lot of positive.
Sorry, I guess to get back on topic a second. I kept cutting out, so I didn't want to interrupt you guys.
Aww.
Sorry. So get back to from like I think it's my end, but it's really playing on the media right now.
Is anything?
Oh gosh.
Is there anything you can do for you, Emily?
I can't. I don't know. I can't. You can throw my computer across the room for me. I'm ready to freaking punch it. Oh gosh. I'm looking at what I was going to show about Ruth Bader Ginsburg inequality stuff. I'm so sorry, guys. I had a video to show and everything. I'm just so afraid to play it because it's going to cut out.
Play it.
But one of the things I think that was important. All right, I'll just play it. One of the things about her quotes about equality. It's like a minute long. I'm going to play it and hopefully it works. Let's see. Let's try it.
Great.
So that was fun. Yeah, I thought that was really cute. That like I kind of summed up a lot about her, and she also mentioned about talent in there and stuff, like using your talent to fight for equality, which is really cool. And I thought related to like everything we do is, at least that's what I'm doing is I'm using my talents and stuff to connect with people and networking and get stories out. And I also have another thing which I didn't mention is I've been so delayed on getting Josh's episode out, which is another thing I do is a one-on-one series where I ask people about their journey to get to where they want to be in the arts. And in Josh's episode, we talked a bit about media and its influence and stuff with LGBTQ. And before, Josh, when you're talking, I thought about it. I didn't mention it because we talked about it in your episode, but it was about like the Golden Girls and stuff and how I was so amazed. And during quarantine, this is kind of a sidetrack for a second. Golden Girls was like the #1 show to watch during quarantine. I don't know if everyone knows that, but and I thought that was amazing because it's women, it's older women. They're not like some sexy young rhymes with witch, but it starts with a B. Like it was legitimately like real in a lot of ways, and they talked about real topics. And I thought one of the really cool episodes that we mentioned in the one-on-one with Josh is the senator, or I think it's a senator, somebody or mayor or whatever of the town or something, ends up that I think he was trans, right? The guy, he was originally a woman. Yes. And I thought that was so amazing because this was like back in the late 80s that this came out.
Wow.
So like and like Ruth just said how in the quotes about how each thing, and Josh, you mentioned this too, to start at the lower, like at the local level first and then build from there. And she did that even with what, her journey to be a Supreme Court justice was, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm sure you probably know this by now. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she started off wanting to get laws passed and stuff for men, the breadwinner, not the breadwinners. They were the ones that are staying home with the family. And a lot of people thought like, oh, she's just trying to get on the good side of the old men and, the justice system and stuff. And no, and actually what she was trying to do and succeeded was to get the men in office, the Supreme Court justice, to recognize that this should be equal. It should not just be for women being at home, but men also that have to be at home taking care of the children should also have the same rights and, be treated the same. So she was very open-minded in the sense that she didn't just kind of keep it to one thing. She was very about being equal for everybody. A lot of people I notice in law and everything, they're not really like that. They have like their agenda and that's all they do. Whereas Ruth was always very like open about everything, and everybody's like, oh, well, she wasn't for abortion in Roe v. Wade. And it's like, no, actually, what she wanted to do was them to slow down a little bit with the passing of, women having the right to do what they want for their bodies and, having babies and all that. But the reason why she was hesitant with it wasn't that she was anti-abortion. It was more that she felt that this was just going to allow everybody that was anti-abortion to pick out the things that were questionable, like certain, timings of abortion and stuff, like to attack those things. And as opposed to let's do this slowly and have this law cover a lot of bases accurately and not just one big snowball effect, everything covered at once. And then people can start to pull it apart and say, this is why this can't be done. And now here we are. And one of the big things that one of the women that it's going to, supposedly going to run for taking her place is anti-abortion, and possibly because of the Roe v. Wade stuff, from what Ruth was talking about back in the day, was we don't want people to be able to pull apart this, the pro-life versus, anti-abortion, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm like trailing off here. Basically what I'm saying, gets the point, is now we're in a position where we have a lot of people that I know personally and just from articles and stuff, is a lot of people are using one thing that they believe in for why they're voting for who they're voting for. And I think that this is really important, and that we have to kind of all find a way to have everything be equal for everybody. And instead of just focusing on, well, I'm anti this and everything else, like, no, we gotta have to kind of have everything equal right now. Like, this is why we're so screwed, because everybody's so pigeonholed into what they want that we're not thinking about everybody else. I think like that's a really important thing, and that's what she stood for. And that's why, to me, it's so devastating that she's gone, is like, we really have to fight this McConnell thing. I know some people watching might be like, I like McConnell, whatever, that's fine, have your opinion. But most people that watch my stuff don't like him, so just FYI.
It's good. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
But, I think this is a really important time to recognize, and also to research people like her and John Lewis and others that really stood for equality and for being example, lead by example. I think that's really important too. And we didn't really get too much into body positivity stuff, but with that also, like what Josh was doing with his show, what Ashley's doing with her work, and Tarik and I, like being an example of positivity, I think is really important. So I just wanted to throw that in there because we were sidetracking the other stuff for a second. So sorry. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in on about that.
Well, what you talked about earlier about, people being in a pigeonhole, I think that standpoint goes deeper, is that a lot of people don't understand each other's journey. I was talking about earlier, like, it's good to be an individual, and we're all unique. And because of that beauty, I think it's a beautiful thing. And some people see that as an ugly thing. People see something being different as bad, but that's not true. And I was going to say, has anyone seen the movie Every Time I Die?
No.
It's on
What?
Netflix.
Sorry, it's hard for me to hear it.
It's called Every Time I Die on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I won't ruin the whole movie,
So
but the premise is that, the lead character is in different bodies. And so you get perspective of different people.
Yeah.
At different, in a weird kind of way, like, and the reason why is really crazy, but that's an interesting standpoint. And so I'm going to just go there metaphysically, whatever someone believes. I respect it. But when I dream, I'm like, sometimes I'm me, and sometimes I'm somebody else. I'm in different situations. Sometimes, like, sometimes I'm me. Sometimes I'm an older man. Sometimes I'm a little boy. Sometimes I'm a woman. Sometimes I'm a kid. Sometimes I'm black. Sometimes I'm white. Sometimes I'm Asian. Sometimes I'm in Brazil, Asia, Japan, different places, different people, different times. And so it gives me, like, I know it's not the full gamut of someone's life, like lifespan, but that little taste kind of helps me see into that, in terms of being different people. And it's up for debate whether it's just complete in my mind or I'm actually uh, visiting someone's like memories or their dreams for that standpoint. If someone gives me a window into that, I don't know how that happens, but I had those experiences. And so I don't think a lot of people do have those experiences. And I'm always fascinated by people's lives, like their story. And so when people convey to me like what they're going through, whether it's good or bad, or embarrassing, like those things are like are a human experience, And when people will take the time to learn someone's journey more, there'll be less bigotry, there'll be less pigeonholing on topics that don't, and they're still important, but they don't mean those topics shouldn't like rule someone's life, because we're all ultimately are in for the same thing.
Right.
It's just that people forget that because they get distracted, like, oh well, you're a vegan and I love meat. No, I'm actually vegan, by the way. Yeah, thank you. Or or you're Republican and I'm Democrat, or you're gay and I'm not, or something, and all that stuff. And it's like, I'm like, I mean, that's your life, so whatever that is for you, that's cool. And so like when someone's different, I don't think I'm like, whatever, you're different. Like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't register as being like something to be concerned about, but there's a lot of people, they'll like judge others because of fear, because they're afraid their life is so different from someone else that they'll be judged for being different from themselves. And it's like, no, we're different as in what we do, but we're the same about how we feel, So I think if people could take the time for that, like when I was talking about cinema, that there could be like movies orchestrated, or some shows are trying to, but they can do more to where movies and shows are very popular. Maybe they have leading cast to bring in the numbers or something, or at some point. But basically, Emily's gone.
She'll be back.
Okay, she'll be back. Everybody, she'll be back. But basically, what I'm saying is that if they have these major movies or shows, and showing a fuller range of someone's life that's very different than your average stereotypical like leading person, then people will take the time and try to understand their neighbors or their coworkers more. And subsequently, when it starts bleeding into politics, they might hesitate for a second to do what's a habit. They might actually try to think deeper into what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sorry, I got cut out for a bit on that, so I missed part of it, but I'll watch it later. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I don't run too late. That's okay. That's my system today is being ridiculous. I don't want to keep everybody too long, but I know we kind of sidetracked for a bit. But anyone want to jump in about anything we didn't talk about Ashley? I know we didn't really get too much into like your journey and stuff with these topics. Like how did you and Josh meet and stuff too? We didn't even jump into that. I meant to ask.
I woke up one morning, he was in my bed, and I said, let's make this a lifelong thing. No, I submitted for a project casting for, and I went in after asking to read the script because I thought, what the fuck is this? This is weird. I don't get this scene. Then I read the script and I was like, yep, it's weird. Like the whole thing, I don't get, but I want to be a part of it. This is cool. So I went in and I auditioned and I booked it, and then he coached me through it like the director that he was and is. And that's how we met. Yeah. And then we became friends. So we got lucky.
That's awesome.
One of those New York moments.
Yep.
That's cool.
What
were you?
I was drawn to Josh.
Yeah.
He he's very smart, and he could write stereotypical things that could garner commercial success, but he chooses not to. He chooses to tell stories for different people, and he chooses to create worlds that are eclectic and are in the way the future that he sees and wants. And I absolutely love that. I love the worlds that he creates and the choices that he makes. And it shines through the passion that he has, like for Shakespeare and for great literature. It always just shines through anything that he writes, because you read it and I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? Thesaurus, what does their dictionary? What does this mean? And like, but he does it, and so it's such a treat. So when I say weird stuff that he writes, I like weird. Weird's a good thing,
Yeah.
you know? It's rich. So yeah. That's how
Yeah. It's also like I like how, you know, the shows, both shows and everything, all the shows, like they kind of, well, start with Skeleton Crew, but they all cover topics and stuff that are everyday topics. You know, like the episode we talk about in, you know, in Josh's one-on-one, more about it is, you know, when he talks about getting tested for HIV and all that. And like you cover, Josh, like you cover topics that people tiptoe around or like afraid to talk about. And you just like bring them out. Like, here's reality. Here's what people go through. Take it or leave it. You know, like you're not afraid to do that. And a lot of, and especially when, you know,
important too.
Ashley, like you said, like, you know, he could do a lot of mainstream media. The problem with mainstream media and stuff, and why I think social media and stuff, the good of it, and for helping people being positive, is you share those, you know, stories and stuff that otherwise would be either omitted or toned down a lot, like 11, like to quote, not saying like you can talk about those things to whatever degree you want to. I think that's really cool. And it's starting to follow stuff, and you've gotten like a lot of awards coming up on both shows, and you know, and Demon Doctors and stuff also. Which Demon Doctors is you know, it's a sci-fi, but you also cover, you know, like not every character is some straight, you know, bulky white dude. Like it's, you know, you have a bunch of different things going on, which I think is so cool.
I don't think any of our characters are straight bulky white dudes. Actually, I guess Hunter Thor might be actually the bulkiest of our white dudes.
Bulky man. Who always throws papers against the wall.
But that's what makes it great, I think.
Classic 80s film. We gotta get it together. But like he's trying to figure out the cake, you know? Like,
our asses are on the line.
Our asses are on the line. That line always gets me. It's so good.
I love it. I love what he does. No, I think it's really important that we use our abilities to try to change the world one step at a time, as Ruth Bader Ginsburg said. I mean, just to go back to the Golden Girls, Emily, there's an episode that I watch when I see it. I think of you, because it's about when Dorothy was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, and how no one would believe her because the disease didn't exist yet in the medical books. It was something that people were just discovering at the time, and it's she had an invisible disease where everyone was just like, you're just a woman who's tired. Yeah. It's what it is, and it's so hard. People are starting to realize that. People are just starting to realize that it's, if you're not a straight white man, when you go to the doctor, then I'm sorry, a thin straight white man, when you go to the doctor, then the doctors are not going to trust you as much, and it's just the doctors are going to think, well, your finger hurts, it's because you're fat, you're tired, it's because, well, you're a woman, or something like that. It's because they try to explain it away, and that's really the danger of a lot of things, and that's why doing things with art, with in my case in television, is to try to find ways to make these topics that people don't talk about or don't address more normalized and more mainstream, or at least seen by people. It's just not something you see a lot of, and that's why it has to change.
I really appreciate your strength, Josh, and on all the topics that you're doing in shows. I mean, more people should do that. and like you say, like your experience with the doctors in terms of like, when the first experience with the doctors to me was like a nightmare, man. Like these guys are crazy, man. Like I was trying to get diagnosed. Later on, I was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, but we just didn't like totally know what it was, And the first doctor I said, he goes, "What hurts?" I was like, "Everything hurts." He goes, "No, what hurts? I mean, your leg, your arm." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "My leg, my arm, my back, my eyelids, my toes, my feet, everything." He goes like, "That's impossible," blah blah, and he was just like so condescending, and I was in so much pain when I was like pretty much dragging my body through the door of the office, and I was telling the people there not to trust him. I was like, "Don't trust this guy. He's not even giving you a chance to even explain what you're going through," And like it was like a very like crushing moment, It's like of like in terms of feeling like you're nothing, That's what I felt like, But I didn't let that stop me. I still like met other doctors. It took me like forever to find a doctor to get me diagnosed where it was, and even still, it's still like a like Emily, like we talk about all the time, The medical system is so flawed. It's not even funny, but there's a lot of discrimination, like Josh was saying. There's so much discrimination. There's so many articles coming out about like where they're especially for women, and also for African Americans and African American women. That in terms of like the pain medications, a lot of times if you're black or something, they don't like really go there with pain medications. Like, oh, you can handle it. You're tough. Like, why am I tough? Why am I a scale 1 to 10? It's like a 12 or something like that. Although I personally try not to take pain medication only because like my muscles are so overly relaxed and have really bad motor skills as it is. I might just like trip over to hit the floor or something. So for me, it's like a safety hazard. But for the average person that needs like more pain medication, a lot of times people don't get a proper care because I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's subconscious because society has really drilled certain personas into people's minds about everybody else that people just assume certain things without thinking. Like, oh, they're used to suffering, so they don't need pain medication. It's like, oh my God, it's like, but that's what's happening, More people had to speak about
from all that, like this deal.
More people had to speak about
the Black Lives
what they're going through.
Matter episode a lot. Too.
I think that's really why that's why it's important with body positivity that art shows people in different states of ableness as well, and to show more people who are in wheelchairs, to show more people who are blind, who are or who have invisible illnesses as well. I mean that's important to have, and then that's what I mean. DC Comics got into a huge. There was a lot of criticism for them a few years back because they back in the 1980s, Batgirl was shot and she was paralyzed and she was in a wheelchair, and she went from being Batgirl to being Oracle, which was one of the most powerful characters in all of the DC Comics universe because she was a computer genius, and she was the one that anytime any superhero had an issue, they contacted her and said, "Hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me find this information out?" or something like that. So she was actually integral to the entire DC universe in terms of just what she could do with everything, and she was so cool and so popular. And yes, she wasn't Batgirl anymore, but she was actually more important than that. And then a few years ago, as comics often do, they wiggled their fingers and changed the history and everything, and she was able to walk again, and she became Batgirl again. And so it just took away anything that was special about her and put her in and made her less exciting and everything because.
But like, why would okay? I know that you're not DC, but like, why would you do that when you can just have a newer character come up doing something else? Like,
well, they had there were 2 Batgirls after her.
Then why would you go and because you've already made a Batgirl and then you go into Oracle? Why would you go and just like erase that?
And they did the same at the same time they did that. They took Amanda Waller, who I think I talked about this with Emily. I told you about this, but they took Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller is, if you saw the movie The Suicide Squad, she's in it. But in the comics, Amanda Waller is a very short Black woman who is very, very, very heavy set, but she's one of the most. She's very normal human. She has no special powers or anything, but she's one of the most ruthless and powerful women in all of the DC Comics universe, because she's just got so much power, and her brain. She's just so smart. Everything about her is just she doesn't look like it, but she is a very strong woman. And at the same time, they took Batgirl and Oracle and made her back into Batgirl. They took Amanda Waller and they redrew her and turned her into basically a Foxy Brown type character, where she was a tall, thin, sexy Black woman with short hair, and she's very fashionable. And it was just it's about, they took anything that made her special as well, and then again made her a more generic female character, and it was very frustrating.
So were they going through like a rebranding? Had there been a new CEO that stepped into place? Like
not a new CEO, but what happens with comics every so often is they want to get because what happens is the audience ages, and so they're like, well, we need to get new audience members into there, so we're going to reboot the universe in some way. Usually that means like some sort of something happens in the universe and everything gets rewritten, like history gets rewritten or something, so that way they can keep the characters and keep some of the stories, but also change things that they want to change to make it new and fresh. So what happened, I think, in 2011 or 12 is what we call the New 52. And that's the new universe that they created in the DC Comics universe, where the New 52, where things where all Batgirl got her legs, was able to walk again. Amanda Waller became thin. All these things happened. It was done in an attempt to attract younger readers, because comic book companies think that they need to attract younger readers, but really, all it did was not attract younger readers, and also make older readers turned off from it. I was a massive reader of comic books for a while, but when they did the New 52, I stuck with it for about a year, and then I just gave up on it because the stories were it was not what I wanted, and it didn't work well for them as a company either. What they did about 5 years after they started the New 52 is they rebooted again, and they tried to bring things back to where they were before a little bit. So, but Amanda Waller is still thin, and Batgirl is still Batgirl. So they didn't make all the characters switch backwards. So it's about having your cake and eating it too, in their sense. But what they did really was they took anything that was special about certain characters and just washed that away.
So I guess my question would be: do you think that they were doing like focus groups and thought, okay, this is where we need to make a change? Like what? How does that happen? Like I don't get that.
Right.
Yeah, you see that a lot in comic books. Like, you know, they'll be,
that's weird.
Someone gets some harebrained idea, and they're taking over someone's position, and so they just completely will revamp. You know, because if so, the company has the rights, of whoever is in charge in that role has influence on those rights. So it's like you see characters constantly shift. You know, like there was a I mean, it's not quite it's not the same at all. But Josh, you remember whenever Superman, instead of being bulletproof, he was like bullet translucent, like you can shoot through him. It was like, we were like, what is that? Like that was like really weird, where he became like this, like kind of like vapor or something.
Yeah.
I was like, nah.
And then in the 70s, I think Wonder Woman went from being an Amazon to being like in this white power suit that she had like karate abilities, and it was just really strange what they did with her. There's attempts to make things relevant and contemporary but there's ways to do it that they find successful and ways to do it that are just a disaster. And Marvel. Well, there's also a phrase that's going on in the comic universe from the more conservative readers, that it's called "Get woke, go broke," and that's where the readers are purposely not reading things that make positive changes. Because they don't want to support those changes, and that's different than what I'm talking about in that sense. Because what I think happens with like Batgirl is taking away what made her woke, if you want to use that term. But like what Marvel did for a while, like Thor became a woman, and Captain America became a black man, and Iron Man became a black teenage girl. So they took all these characters that were recognizable and moved on to another phase of these characters with new people taking on the roles. And a lot of what happened is that turned readers off because it was too woke for them. And so you're working with two different things there. So I think DC did the anti-wokeness in that sense, whereas Marvel did the wokeness. For both of them, it sort of didn't work out because it made fans very angry for different reasons. I still think that Marvel would have more success if the company was a little bit more supportive of it in general. They sort of backed away from it. And anytime you take a character like Thor or Batman and you change them to another person, you know it's eventually going to switch back anyway. So it's not like you can really believe it and get involved in it, invest in it. That's why making new characters is so important, and that's why making characters that are fresh, and different are so important. And I think that's something that, they did that with Miss Marvel in the Marvel universe. Miss Marvel is a teenage girl who is Muslim, and I'm not sure if she's Arabic or not, but I know that she's Muslim, and she is a new character who is fresh and exciting, and she's going to have a TV series on Disney Plus soon. Cool. So that's pretty cool in that sense. So,
speaking of which, you heard about the She-Hulk show for Disney Plus?
Yes.
Oh, and the lead star, it will be played. Huh? I'm trying to remember her official name, but she played the lead on Orphan Black.
Yeah, and she's a wonderful actress. So
she's so good.
Yeah, she'd be the human version of She-Hulk.
and she's so good. But that's another thing right there. Just looking at with body positivity, when Gal Gadot got cast as Wonder Woman, so many people criticized her because she was too thin for the role. They said Gal Gadot needs to eat a sandwich to play Wonder Woman. And they're also criticizing Robert Pattinson for playing Batman, saying he's too thin. And there's just all this pressure on even Hugh Jackman got criticized for playing Wolverine because he was too tall. Wolverine is supposed to be 5'4", so Hugh Jackman is not 5'4". As a 5'4" person, 5'3.5" person, I know that Hugh Jackman is much taller than me. So, but fans can be very critical of this kind of thing, and it makes it really hard to take these roles for actors because they get put in this situation of feeling bad about themselves because. I mean, I'm not saying Gal Gadot should feel bad about herself because of how she looks, but I think she looks okay. But I mean, it's hard to get you. I mean, we cast you as Wonder Woman, and it's like, oh my god, that's a dream come true. I'm so excited. I'm playing Wonder Woman, and then you go online and you see all the people posting about it, and like, look how skinny she is, and she doesn't look like an Amazon, and she's so wimpy, and it's just it's body positivity. Is important for that kind of thing as well, I think.
But I think across the board, whenever you do anything, 80% of people are going to like it. 70% of people are going to like it. 20% of people aren't going to get it, and 10% will hate it. That's everything across the board for comedy, for drama. True, It's just Melissa McCarthy said that, so we can go ahead and coin her at the end of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that 10%. A lot of times are so much louder that it seems like it's more people.
Yeah, and you hear, but that's like even as performers, like we could have 100 people say, "Oh, you were so good. That was so great. That was so great. Oh my god, that was great." And then that one that's like, "Yeah, that was fun. That was good. That was okay." And you're like, okay, what do you mean okay? Why didn't they say it like everyone else? Or they say the other thing of you're terrible, you suck. And you're like, everyone thinks I suck, even though 100 people just said you were good. It's that our brain sticks like putty when it comes to like a negative thought because it just amplifies what's going on in the ego already saying that we shouldn't be doing it. And we just got to silence that because the biggest question is how you want to go out. You want to go out trying. And it doesn't matter if people aren't liking you along the way. At least you're fucking going. At least you're doing it. I mean,
That's what I think.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Emily.
Yeah, a lot of times in well, I think, and also like there's also a lot of stuff with social media and stuff too playing a part in it. Because before you went by the opinions of Siskel and Ebert and stuff like that for films and stuff, and now you got everybody putting in their 2 cents all the time. Politics, everything. Like we didn't have that before. You know, we kind of just went with whatever we were told, pretty much. You know, like what did they say about this movie? Oh, they said it sucked. I'm not going to go see it. Now it's like Rotten Tomatoes and this and that, and it's like so many opinions coming in that in a way it's kind of good because you can kind of be like, whatever, like this person doesn't know what the F they're talking about. This person just an angry troll on YouTube, whatever, which a lot of YouTubers deal with that too, which is also why we got into how we got into the supportive society to begin with cancel culture and all that. But yeah, I mean, it kind of all brings back to that. And also to tie in, because I'm realizing we've been on for an hour and a half, guys. But to tie it all in with Ruth Bader Ginsburg also, she wasn't liked in the beginning at all. Like when she went to Harvard Law, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie about her and stuff, both movies, the documentary and the film in 2018. She was at welcome dinner with everybody, all the law, students, 9 women, and the head of the department literally said to have each woman come up, explain why they deserve their spot for being a woman and why it didn't go to a man, like why they deserve the man's spot in the law program, which is so fucked up. It's like, what? Like, why does that even matter? And here you have her while she's in law school, taking care of her husband who's sick, working on his notes, also being a mother, doing all this stuff. Does she get praised for it? No, it's just expected. And I think that's another thing too, with each person, with equality, it's like everybody should be on the same level in terms of what's expected of them, where it's so much stuff like, Tarik was saying about with pain medication stuff for Blacks versus whites. It's like expected that they don't need it. And with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, it's like, oh, well, she's a mom, she's a woman, she can handle it. She can handle doing all this and that. And it's like, she had to push through being sick while being on Supreme Court justice and stuff and saying she's fine. I think honestly, from someone that's been chronically ill a lot and pushing through, I think we have to play it down a lot in order to be accepted, which is also shitty. So going back to what I just said of this whole equality thing also is like if everybody started as an equal, we wouldn't have to really put on all these brave faces all the time, which in a way it can be good, but also with LGBTQ and everything else, like everybody has to put on this brave face constantly. And white male in a way too, I guess, do as well, like in sense of like that they can't show emotion. They can't cry, they have to be tough. It's like, it's all this stuff together, to one big ball of like, what is equality? Which I guess is a question that we can't answer in 90 minutes, but there's that too. I realizing it's getting late, so I'm just going to wrap it up for everybody. And I'm so sorry I've been quiet, but I kept getting cut out and I'm just like,
I'm so sorry.
I didn't know what to do or like how to bring us back into, a topic. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. Ashley and Tarik and I
but
talk
any
a lot
closing
anyway, so.
statements?
I'm just so happy to be here with y'all. Thank you for inviting me. It's been great sharing this hour and a half with you.
Yeah, it's been great to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you.
Yeah, same. It's like I've known you for like 5 years watching Josh's show, and then I was like, oh, I meant to ask her to come on, and here we are. Thank you for doing it. So like last minute too, because I know I was like, I'm not sure if I was going to do it this week and all that. And then Sunday we just pushed it to today. Usually, guys, it's on Sundays, but we just had to do it today. We had usually we had Hasita on with us, and then I don't know if everybody knows this, but not all of us are in the same time zone. So Tarik's in Texas. We're the 3 of us are in New York, but our other guest Hasita from last time is in India actually.
Yeah.
So getting all these time zones together is tough. So each time I'm probably gonna have people come on also that are different time zones. We might have the 4 of us and somebody else. We can have up to 10 people. So every time's different. But I'm gonna try to do this at least once a month, or if not more, whatever works everybody's schedules. So if anybody has anything in closing, if not, I'm gonna sign us off.
No, it's just
vote.
Huh?
My
guys,
big thing
no,
for
anything you
everyone
want to say? Yes, please go vote. Go vote. That is the number one thing. Yes.
Go
sorry,
vote,
Tarik,
make
were you
a
saying something? I
difference.
can't hear anything. Yeah. That's the final thing I would say is go vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. Like, you know, you guys mentioned last night on Sidekick at Power Hour. Make sure you're registered to vote. Go check on that. And this is like, we're down to like the final, you know, final countdown pretty much. So let's get some change in there that's good. And let's not, you know, give in like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let's just keep going till the end. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on this. I'm so sorry for the cutouts and everything, but we will be back.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll see you next time, though. See you next time, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.